you ended up going to WWE, of course, for your most well-remembered gimmick as Demolition Smash. How did you transition from Crockett over to Vince?
Okay, that was a heck of a story. So now um, I'm having a very successful time in Crockett's territory, and you know the territory really reminded me a lot of Louisiana, and a lot of the same guys from Louisiana were in Crockett's territory too. And it was a really tough territory because we were doing TVs for Crockett, and then we were doing TVs for Georgia Championship Wrestling in Atlanta. So you were working a lot, and you had to make some money. Well, I was making some pretty good money, but not as good as money as I thought I should have made. And we ended up doing the deal with the Rock and Roll Express. And earlier I was talking about how it was one of the greatest matches ever. We dropped the titles to them. Well, we were supposed to have, this was kind of the build-up for a Starrcade or American Bash, one of the two, I can't remember what it was, for that match. And when you're in those territories back then, those big shows, those are the shows that you build your whole angle up and everything for that show, because then you can get a heck of a payday. Well, we did all of that with the Rock and Roll Express, and I was all set up to have the rematch with those guys at that big show. Well, it ended up being where they were going to put Nikita in there, and I didn't know why Nikita didn't have a single match at that time, because Nikita at that point was getting to be where he was getting to be a heck of a single wrestler, and he could have worked anybody in a single match, but they ended up putting Nikita in the match with him and Nikita against the Rock and Roll Express. Well, I got really upset about that, and I ended up having a match with Sam Houston, which I love Sam Houston, and he was a great guy to work with, but that wasn't the same as working with the Rock and Roll Express. So Crockett told me, he says, you know what, I'm going to pay you the same as if you were in that match. I thought, well, at least I can, get something out of it, and I didn't know what that payday was going to be. But anyways, so the whole thing was built up to that match, and I wasn't in it. And it ended up being where it was a heck of a pay-per-view. And we got to TV, and we were doing interviews. I think it was like on a Tuesday or something. We're all at interviews, and we got our paychecks. And I got my paycheck, and I'm sitting by Ivan, and I look at my paycheck, and it was like $2,500. And for a sellout crowd and a pay-per-view, I'm thinking to myself, well, I've made more than this, on regular shows. I said, Ivan, I hate to ask you what you got paid, but I got paid $2,500. And he looked at me, and I said, I know you didn't get that. And he says, Barry, he said, everybody called me Crush. He says, Crush, he says, I know what you're going to do. He says, please don't do it. And I said, Ivan, I said, in this business, I've always told the truth. You've always told the truth. I've always been honest with everybody, and I expect everybody to be honest with me. And I said, I was told I was going to make the same as what you and Nikita and the Rock and Roll were going to get paid. And I'm not. And I said, I got to say something. And so Ivan pulled me aside, and he says, so let's talk about this a little bit. And, we've always talked about whenever you go in and talk to the boss about money, you better be ready to leave. And because they're going to either give you what you want, or they're going to give you an ultimatum. Well, if you don't like it, get out. So me and Ivan were going over that, and I said, Ivan, I hate to leave you. I said, I hate to leave Nikita in this territory because all the guys were unbelievable. Midnight Express was in there. Rock and Roll Express, Magnum TA, Flair. I mean, it was just an incredible territory. But I thought, you know what? If he screws me on this payday, he's going to start screwing me on other paydays. So, if I was going to make 300 on a night, now he's going to start paying me 200 because he knows I'm going to do it. It's just the way they are. Promoters are like that. So, and I'm thinking, and he probably knows I'm a nice guy, so I'll just take it and not say nothing. So I went in to Dusty first, and I said, Dusty, I said, I just got my paycheck, and it's a lot less than what everybody else got, and I'm supposed to get the same thing as I was going to get it if I was in the match, because I was supposed to be in the match. And Dusty closes the door, and he says, Barry, I'm really sorry. I didn't know about what the paydays were or anything, but he says, I had to put Nikita in the match. That's just what the boss wanted, and it worked out where you were with Sam Houston, and you could work an angle with Sam Houston. And I said, yeah, but I don't want to work an angle with Sam Houston. I'm a tag now with Ivan. And he says, yeah, but you've already been the world champions. You've been the American champions. I said, yeah, I totally understand. So he says, so what are you going to do? I said, well, I got to go talk to Jimmy Crockett. He goes, Barry, don't do that. I said, well, I just want to give you this belt right now because I don't know what Jimmy Crockett's going to say. And I said, this could be my last day. Who knows? Because I thought maybe if I said this could be my last day, he might go, Barry, just stay right here. I'll go talk for you. Well, he didn't. So anyways, I go into Jim Crockett's office. I said, Jim, can I talk to you? He goes, well, I'm really busy. And I said, well, I'm really busy too. I said, I need to talk to you. He says, all right, what's up? Well, he knew what it was up. He knew that he screwed me on a payday. He says, so what's going on? I said, well, you promised me, because this whole angle we did with the Rock and Roll Express and all this, I was going to be in that match at that pay-per-view, and you put Nikita in there instead of me. But you said, to make me feel good, I guess, that I'll get paid the same as what I will in that match, knowing you weren't going to do that, but you were going to screw me. So I said, well, I'd like to get the rest of that money. He says, I'm not giving you the rest of the money. The match you were in is what you got paid for that match. And I said, well, that was the shits. He said to me, he says, Barry, he says, that's exactly what you deserve for that match. I said, Jimmy, but wait a minute. I said, so you're telling me right to my face that you're going to lie to me, that you told me you were going to pay me the same as what they were going to make in their match when I worked with Sam Houston, and now you're telling me you're not. So you're telling me right to my face that I'm a liar. He says, I'm not going to say I'm a liar, but that's what that match paid. I said, Jimmy, you're a liar. You're a liar and you're a thief. And I said, I'll tell you what, one thing in this wrestling business that's worse than anybody, and that's a thief. I says, back in the dressing room, if somebody steals from you, you put the boots to them and you do whatever you can to keep them alive, because you want to punish them, because there's nothing worse than a thief. When you trust everybody in the dressing room with your wallets and your watches and your money, you trust everybody that they're not going to steal from you. And when there's a thief, that's like the scum of the earth. And you're telling me that you're the scum of the earth. And he says, no, I'm telling you that that's what that match paid. And I said, Jimmy, if you don't pay me what you said you were going to pay me, this is my last day. I said, I already gave Dusty the belt. And I said, I hate to leave on these terms, but there's nothing worse than a liar and a thief. And he says, well, then you got to leave. So anyways, I came back and I talked to Ivan, and Ivan says, you're done, aren't you? And I said, I'm done. And I remember Bobby Eaton and Dennis Congree and all. He says, man, he says, don't leave. And, and it was like, I got him. He lied. I said, and he's going to do the same thing to you guys. He might have already done it to you guys. I don't know. But I said, I when somebody tells me something, I do it. And that's how I've been to everybody. At least I try. I do everything I can to do whatever I say I'm going to do. And that was when I left there, and I was married, and me and my wife, I told my wife, I said, well, get ready. We got to go to another territory. I said, I need some time off because it's been a rough trip, and being there for a couple years was a lot of road time, and we saved up some money, and I had a house down there. I said, let me just get a couple of months off here, and I said I'll get back and we'll get another job. But I said we might have to sell the house and move. So she was fine with it, and then I talked to Hebner, who was one of the referees, and Hebner says, "Oh, what are you going to do?" He says, "Well, I'm going to call Vince first thing." I said, "I don't know if I can get a job up there or not." He says, "Hey, but my brother's up there." He says, let me make a phone call for you." So then his brother calls me back. He says, "Hey, Barry," he says, I put out a couple of feelers for you. He says, just hold off for a little while. And then I ended up, I was training at Ricky Steamboat's gym, and I told Ricky the story, and Ricky goes, "That's just like Crockett." He says, "Let me make a call for you." So Steamboat calls me up, and in the meantime, Flair is telling me, "Barry, don't leave it," and all that. I said, "Rick, I gotta go." I said, I've learned so much in this business. I can work in any territory now. Anybody would be glad to have me. I said, I hate to leave here. So Ricky makes this phone call, and I'm thinking, yeah, they're just calling, and who's talking to who and what and everything. Well, about 2 days later, so now this is like a week after I quit my job, Vince McMahon calls me up at home, and so I answer. I go, "Hello," and he says, "Vince McMahon here." He says, "Is this Barry?" And I said, "Yeah." And he says, "I'd like to talk to you about, I want to set up a meeting with you. I hear that you're looking for a job." I said, "Vince," I said, "Yeah, I really am. I really appreciate you calling. I never expected it right now, but," I said, "thank you for calling." And he says, I'll have a ticket for you later on today. I'll have a limo pick you up, and we'll see you at the towers tomorrow. Take it easy." And I'm thinking to myself, when he asked me, he says, "You want a job?" I'm thinking to myself, well, I'm kind of busy right now, and let me check my schedule. I thought, no, I ain't going to do that. I'm just going to, yeah, I'll be up there. Right. So I ended up getting a call from him. Had a plane ticket waiting for me and a limo, and he picked up, and that was the end of the territory with Crockett. And I still didn't know what was in front of me, but it was like, here we go again.
Thank you for watching the Hannibal TV. Please like this video if you enjoyed it, and click the subscribe button to not miss any of our latest shoot interviews, match videos, or news updates. Support us on patreon.com for $1.99 a month to watch our full shoot interviews ad-free and help our channel grow. Follow us on Twitter at the Hannibal TV for instant updates.